Hello, this is Daniel Raymond, the voice behind Raised Guide, and 3.17.2 is out live. I've already made videos on pretty much every major feature of this release. There's a whole playlist of them, so I'm not going to repeat them here. I will instead be talking about the release itself and how some of the clever things CIG has done in this release announcement itself. Because I fancy myself something of a clever person, but CIG has out-clevered me. First, I predicted that CIG would be cautious about increasing the player count in Live in order to protect against the disappointment that they had to reduce it in Live 3.18. Well, what CIG has done instead is to make the player count no longer a constant. It is now expected to go up one day and down the next based on how they see the servers behaving. So if the counts have to go down in 3.18, it won't even be seen as an anomaly because daily changes would be the expected course of events by then. The only downside of this I see is that it changes large event planning. Let's say you want to do a big org battle between your org and some other org. It used to be okay. We'll bring 25 players and you bring 25 players. And then with 100, you just have each side bring 50. But if you don't know what the server cap is going to be tomorrow, it kind of throws a bump into your planning. But still, smart move. Another smart move was to give everybody a cash bonus based on play hours, and not, as was the case in the most recent prior wipe, a fixed quantity bonus based on having participated in certain events. By doing it this way, it sets the expectation that it will also be done that way for the already announced 3.18 wipe, whether or not it actually does, which goes far to prevent pre-wipe ennui. Ennui is a French term meaning everything I love has gone to shit, and so there's nothing to do but sit here making deep, meaningful sighs and smoking little cigarettes. Although not quite at the same level of being out-clevered, I thought that sales of the Centurion might be held off until the IAE Expo in November because it was likely to be priced as an LTI token, and there really isn't much immediate use for an LTI token right now. And I was partly right. The Centurion is $95 new money with LTI, which does put it into the high end of the LTI token price range. So the thing is, any fleet or org that is large enough to need their own permanent ground defense craft and assault vehicles is eventually going to have the in-game financial resources to buy them in-game when they someday become available in-game. So if ground assault protection is important to you, let's say for Jumptown, then get one and have fun with it now, expecting that it will become your first LTI token of the November IAE Expo. And if you're not into the whole fleet building game, ignore everything I just said and enjoy being the gunner or driver in somebody else's Centurion. There'll be plenty of demand for those too. An interesting thing about 3.17.2 that I think a lot of folks have missed is that the which of the cheapest starter pack ships you should choose has been flipped, which means that there are a lot of getting started and which starter ships you should choose videos that are now obsolete. The number one reason for recommending the Aurora over the Mustang has always been being better able to handle delivery boxes. And now with the deployable underbelly cargo container, the Mustang is better at handling delivery boxes, full stop. Yes, the Aurora still has a bed, but that's not as important at the very start as being able to efficiently handle box missions. And that checkbox is now on the Mustang Alpha. Ultimately, 3.17.2 is going to stand out in the progress of Star Citizen for two reasons. The first is, as I have already mentioned, blowing open the 50-player server cap. I know that many of my viewers and players in the game in general may not be longtime backers, so they may not realize how significant this is. This is the trailer for Star Citizen Alpha 2.0 in December 2015, not quite 7 years ago. This was the first release that the Persistent Universe even existed. Before this, there was just Arena Commander, the Hangar module, and what was called the Social module, a scaled-down version of Area 18 where you could actually see other players. Grimhex wouldn't become the second place to have a hab until a year later. Crusader wouldn't have landable moons until a year after that. ArcCorp, the first planet besides Crusader, wouldn't enter the game until 3.25 years after the release of 2.0. And the server cap was 50. This game has never had, for any but the briefest of experiments, a server population other than 50. So yes, in the broad history of the game, this is a big deal. But apart from that, I think the thing that's going to stand out about 3.17.2 is how much it advances the first-person shooter features of the game. Previously, Star Citizen might have been described mostly as a flight sim game. It still can be, but with Siege of Orison and Ghost Hollow and Abandoned Outpost and all the rest, the credentials of Star Citizen as a bona fide first-person shooter fun bowl in a spaceflight game has been established. The one thing that I'm still puzzled over is why this release apparently isn't being officially titled Siege of Orison. It certainly deserves it. And now, just because it's all coming out at the same time, I thought I would make a little comment aside about the Inside Star Citizen update on the river tech, because what I have to say wouldn't fill a video of its own. And that is that they are doing 75% of a great job on this, but there's a 25% item that I'm going to have to point out. And I'm sure this is going to go over about as well as the time I pointed out that it wouldn't actually rain inside of Ruin Station. But it really boils down to this one statement.
Most of our rivers should either be finishing in the ocean or large lakes or basins.
And that statement is not correct. This is a map of every river in the USA over 810 kilometers in length. And while many of the rivers do reach the ocean, most of them flow into other rivers. There's forks and branches. And while the rivers created with the demonstrator tool look good, they were all single-channel rivers. And in order to create really believable river systems, there would need to be branches and forks, rivers flowing into other rivers. And just going by what was shown in the demonstration, it might be necessary to reverse the thought process, because it looked like they were picking a source point and examining how water would flow down from that point, which of course gets you one channel only. Whereas they might get better results by instead picking the mouth of the river and have the system work backward to the watershed area of that point and analyze the tributary channels that are in it. Other than that, sincerely, I love the rivers. And now for an update on our dual Grow the Channel ship giveaways. First, we have the short-term giveaway of the Bar Citizen World Tour participation card, autographed by Chris and Sandy Roberts, that is running just for videos between June 15th and July 31st. And I'm going to just go ahead and declare this as the last video for July and schedule my next video for August 1st. And that will cut off comments and memberships that will qualify for the drawing on midnight of the 31st. But that will just be for the card giveaway. We still have the big ship giveaway. As of recording, we are at 82% of the subscriber goal and 74% of the membership goal to give away to some lucky player their choice of the Anvil Liberator, the ship shipping ship for shipping your ships, and the Myst Odyssey, that long-length look-ahead launcher lorry. One entry per video. Members, you're entered automatically as always, and if the winner is a member as of the publication date of the winning video and at the drawing time, they will win both the Liberator and the Odyssey. For non-members, just subscribe and comment with the secret word. And the secret word for this video is the French word with the rather complicated definition. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Danny Raymond for Ray's Guide.